It's a beautiful Wednesday morning reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. Welcome to Outnumbered. I am Mercy Babajide, and of course, I'm not alone this morning. To my right, I have a beautiful lady. Good morning, Tonya.
Good morning, Mercy. Welcome to the program.
And of course, to my left, I have the perfect gentleman. Good morning, Ramsey. How are you?
Good morning, Mercy. I'm fine.
How are you?
Good morning, Ramsey.
Good morning. I'm
So,
funny.
It's safe to actually always ask people, how are you, given the current economy of Nigeria? But
To be
then,
sure everyone is
to be
safe.
sure everyone is safe, of course.
And not just us smiles covering up what you're actually going on.
Like
What's
I'd always
going
say, it
on
feels
inside
like
of you.
people, someone always say, Nigerians, our middle name is endurance because irrespective of whatever we're going through, we still come out smiling and bubbling and all
Stronger.
of that. All right, viewers at home, this is where we start with our number this morning, and I'll be taking it from the Punch newspaper. The Punch has it here that diesel price drops as Dangote sells 1,225 naira per litre, supplies petrol May, and that's the biggest story there, screaming for attention on the Punch, and that is a page 2 read for the Punch this morning. Dealers get 1 million litres each at 1,225 naira per litre. Price drops in Oyo, Lagos, Ogun. And that is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And now two more stories. Federal government, Interpol in talks over Binance chief's extradition. And that's a page 41 read. And when you pick up a copy of the Punch newspaper and you open page 31, Naira sells below 1,280 Naira per dollar at official parallel markets. That's the story you find there. And the next story says Dangote, Adenuga, Abdusalam, Otedola make Forbes list with 26 billion US dollars. That's a page 40 read. And one would think with the way we say we're broke in Nigeria. Let me not go further. Akintarinwa Okay film as Ondo APC elders endorse Ayedatiwa. That's a page 14 read for the Punch newspaper this morning. Now let's take two more stories. Court finds Ogun CP, 5 others 25 million naira for unlawful detention. And I move to disconnection. This story is a sad one. UCH doctors suspend night shift, begin strike on Tuesday. And to find more details on that, it's a page 31 read. And for the picture story, you see the president of Senegal, that's of course been sworn in, advocates Africa's unity and security. And that is where I wrap it up for the Punch. Over to Tonya.
All right, thank you, Mercy. On the New Telegraph newspaper, the first headline we'll be looking at, Reps want full implementation of Disability Act. And we'll have a rider to that headline. It says, hits KFC for discriminating against Benga Daniel's son. And the details of that is on page 5. Moving on, alleged $35 million fraud. EFCT to arraign 2 Binance officials tomorrow. And that you can find on page 2 of the New Telegraph newspaper. Now, the big story here on the New Telegraph, Mike criticizes Secondus Sekibo for supporting Fubara. Says they are expired politicians. That's savage. Expired politicians. The details of that you can find on page 2 of the New Telegraph newspaper. And now the next one says, Khan slams FIRS over Easter message, demands retraction, apology, urges organizations to handle religious symbols and narratives with sensitivity. Now, every time when things are being celebrated, when we have a special period of festive, brands usually take, organizations usually send their goodwill messages to the Muslims, the Christians. So now the FIRS said Jesus paid you in their Easter message. Jesus paid your debt, not your taxes.
Tax, so you pay your tax.
Yes. So now the Christian as that, I think that was quite insensitive.
I was going to say that.
The Christian Association of Nigeria has asked for them to retract that Easter message and also tender an apology.
Which they did, of course.
Yeah, organizations should be, even as much as they want to push their brand and also wish people well, celebrate them during these festivities, they should be sensitive to the kind of messages they put out. They should be sensitive. Then now the final one we'll be looking at from the New Telegraph newspaper. Study shows that alcohol raises heart disease risks among women. And that you can find on page 6. This is quite interesting.
Why just
gender?
women?
Why just women? That's both of them.
Why just women?
It does gender
Because
sensitive.
a lot of
It's
people
not,
look at men as the drunks. But
Men love
No,
to
I
step
wouldn't
down
say
with
that.
it. They are not
I don't
drunks,
want to
yeah.
that's what a lot of people
Actually, I
believe.
don't want to mention a particular state in Nigeria because it's going to be affecting Tonya one way or the other.
Please
Ah,
don't
you-
make
you-
Yes,
you-
no, I don't want to
you-
throw shades this morning, but there's a particular state in Nigeria where women actually drink more than men. But
And
then
what they drink is not just the
it's not.
normal.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
not.
it's
Okay.
out of
Yeah,
the
Thank God
ordinary.
both of you know.
It's out of the ordinary. So now this study is showing that alcohol raises heart disease risks among women. It also alcohol does bad things to men too.
to
So
men to
not just
some.
the women. Everyone should. Health is wealth, so take care of yourself. That will be all from the New Telegraph newspaper. Over to you, Ramsey.
All right, thank you very much, Tonia, for those headlines. Let's quickly get to the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, where we have some interesting headlines. Below the head, I have this headline which says, well, this is not a very good one. Gunmen kill businessman, abduct wife, neighbor in Zamfara state. No wonder Zamfara state is calling for rescue. The security situation in Nigeria gets deteriorating on a daily basis. Dangote refinery commences diesel sale, pegs 1 million litre per marketer. Well, I think one of the things that this administration promised us is the fact that our refineries we are going to start working as soon as possible. But we've not heard anything. But then, thank God to Dangote, who has made it possible. At least, we're talking about diesel today. Very soon, we pray that fuel, also PMS, will also be available. But then, the marketers shouldn't do anything funny because they know how to do things on
This
the
is
ground
Nigeria.
because they
Exactly,
want
this
to
is
make
Nigeria.
profit. All right. Okay, I want to take this. This is interesting. Ondo residents loot truck conveying Tinubu branded grains. Ondo residents loot truck conveying Tinubu branded grains. This is more like, oh, president's grain. This is more like our grain because the president's grain should be our grain. And the truck was looted. I don't know where the grains were being conveyed to anyway, but then that's to show how hungry the people are. All right, electricity tariff, the big story from the Daily Trust newspaper. Electricity tariff to rise by 300%. I won't say much. Three riders actually to that story. Units to hit 200 naira from 68. Then the second rider says a NEC will announce the actual increase soon. Federal government is the one saying that. And the last rider says the Nigerians overstretched. CSOs are the ones saying that. And the details of that you can actually get on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Ex-NLC president Ali Siroma dead. We pray that his soul rest in peace. When Messi was taking this headline that I'm about taking now, I was like, oh, people will think when they hear that people are suffering in Nigeria, they'll say, with all these
big men,
when
billionaires.
Dangote, Adenoga, Rabiu, Otedola make Forbes billionaires list. You have all of these billionaires in Nigeria, meaning they are not affecting lives. And what makes you successful is when you have people sucking from your
But
success.
how sure are we that they're not affecting lives actually? Because most of those people would not come out outrightly to say, "Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that."
And some of them have
And I mean, it was on Monday we read how federal government actually waived taxes for these people in one of the news because
people.
yes.
When I say affecting life, if affecting life in the sense that maybe the Nigerian government, okay, and the people at least should have the feeling, but not a segmented area.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes you see these things happen. Okay, we just heard that Dangote share rice in one of the northern states, and that's commendable. But then we're looking at when we talk about billionaires being recognized by Forbes, you know what we're talking about. So the average Nigerian, that man in the hinterland, should have a feeling of these billionaires that we have in the country. They are doing well, but we want to ask that they do more. If the federal government has failed us.
They'll hear you.
They'll hear us.
All right, and that's going to be the size of the headlines from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, now let's move to Nigerian News Direct. Marketers' move crash in prices as Dangote refinery begins sales of diesel aviation fuel. That's a page 4 read. And now to the next story. Increase in gas price spark fears of hike in electricity tariff. Then the next story says 1,665 candidates submit fake A-level results. We always complain about the government being the problem. But then, is the government responsible for this also? Now to Eastern Method, Khan tackles FIRS, demands apology. Well, that's a paid for read to read one that. Transcorp Hotels PLC records 36% revenue growth in 2023 results. And now for the next story here, it says explosion rocks Army cantonment in Lagos as no casualty recorded. And that's a page 5 read. And finally, on the Nigerian News Direct, bank recapitalization. Credit rating agency Bank CBN move predicts 1.4 trillion naira capital inflows if bank succumbs to pressure. Well, that's all we'll be taking for a newspaper this morning. After the break, we will be reviewing electricity tariff to rise by 300%. Stay tuned.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleke TV. Visit our website at www.oweleketv for a thrilling journey. Oweleke TV, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back. You're still on Outnumbered, reaching you from Oweleke TV. I am still Mercy Babajide, and to my right I have Tony, and to my left I have the gentleman in the midst of beautiful ladies, of course, Ramsey. And now let's get straight to the point. Daily Trust this morning has said electricity tariff to rise by 300%. And under that we have unit to hit 200 naira from 68 naira. One would wonder with what is going wrong in Nigeria right now, that we have literally everything has skyrocketed in Nigeria right now. And one would wonder that the government would want to ease the burdens of Nigerians. But it looks like the reverse is the case in Nigeria. So now I'll be throwing it open to Tonya to my right and Ramsey to my left, of course, to hear their own opinion. But we'll start with Tonya. Okay. Tonya, I'd like to get your overview. I think I saw you calculating something now.
Yeah. So I was actually calculating 10,000 naira worth of, let's say, prepaid meter unit gives you 136 kilowatts.
Okay.
And now you're increasing it by 200 naira. So 200 times 136, you'd have 27,200. So for a household that uses 60,000 naira worth of prepaid meter units, that household will be spending 180,000 naira. With the current economic situation, salaries are not being increased. The cost of living is still rising, is on a steady rise. How would Nigerians cope in this situation? Is increasing the tariff plan the solution to the problems we are having? How would they? We're still battling with minimum wage. Don't forget that. Universities are still going on and off strike because of non-payment of salaries. The insecurity is still on the rise. And now the fuel price, let's even go to the king of all. The fuel price has not come down. And we're having this. So how do they want Nigerians to cope? How do they want us to handle this entire situation?
Okay, all right. Thank you, Tony. And now to Ramsey. Something caught my attention in all of this. It said Nigerians overstretched. We all know that Nigerians are actually overstretched. But how do you think the government would actually ease our burden? Because right now, it is a lot to take in. The prices of diesel alone is not even, let me use the Nigerian layman word, not funny.
Well, we're saying something behind cameras. We're talking about the fact that, to an extent, it's as if the federal government don't care about the people anymore. Because I see it as being insensitive. Okay, if this kind of thing is happening and the federal government fold its hands. One, we're faced with policies that has brought us to where we are today by this administration. Okay, when they came and they removed fuel subsidy. After the removal of fuel subsidy, there was a free fall of the naira.
Yes.
And that has brought the economy, excuse me, to where it is today. Now, currently, the current tariff, Nigerians are struggling with it. Then you want to increase it. Obviously, you're trying to say the light, the power that we never had. Time has come that there shouldn't be power anymore.
So start using candles.
That's what it means. Meaning people need to go to their lantern.
And set bonfire.
And even the kerosene is not even cheap. Or maybe you start using firewood, or maybe people should go back to candle.
And do you remember something happened, I think on Monday in one of the papers where they said prices of gases are equally skyrocketing. Now, let's say you want to buy a generator that is actually CNG infused. How do you even go about it?
How do you go about it?
And now, even in all of this, the light or the power we're talking about, the power has not been constant since December. I remember that there was a time that they said they were going to make a review of all the ministers that were sitting down, and then many people said, oh, there's no need to review the minister of power. Let him just be removed immediately, because of course, I mean, when Fashola was
like
minister,
we don't even have a minister of power.
Exactly, we barely have light.
More like it's non-existent.
So I think what they should do, what the federal government should do, is go back to the drawing board. NEC should sit down, call all the players, think about this thing. Where is the problem coming from? Because Nigeria as it is, there are countries that were given light. And they said, well, it's some form of agreement that they've entered into and all of that, blah, blah, blah. But then the Nigerians, okay, we're talking about individual, we're talking about household. What about business? How much do we spend on fuel? Because the pie is not there. Okay? An average businessman, an average entrepreneur, how much do you think they will be spending on a daily basis
to run
their businesses?
That is why it feels like most businesses are actually
crashing. If we want to
you spend so much. Sorry to interrupt you, Ramsey. You spend so much trying to generate power to run your business. At the end of the day, what ought to use to invest in your everything goes back to power. So you see, businesses cannot even pay salaries because all of their monies are going back to generating power to run the business.
Tonia, can I shock you? Patronage is even low because of the economic situation.
So it's a circle.
So people are just cutting down things right now. Businesses are not getting a very good patronage now because of the economic situation. Then you want to increase the price of electricity, which is supposed to be a social amenity that everyone is supposed to enjoy. I don't see this in a sane country where everything is working. This is not the kind of things we should throw at the faces of Nigerians, at the faces of the masses, So I think the federal government should rise to the occasion, call NEC to order, and every other player that is involved in this. Let them not do this, because an angry man is a hungry man is an angry man. And you trust Nigerians. When Nigerians are being pushed to the wall, you know what happens. There have been a lot of strike action, protests, and all of that. But it seems not to be yielding results.
I was going to say that, because I was going to say with the number of protests we have.
They are not even care.
It's more like do what you have to do. Do what's on our mind.
Not minding what the people are going through. This is so uncalled for. So I don't think electricity, I don't know. There shouldn't be a rise. That 300% is even way too much.
It's way too much. All right. You've heard from Tony and you've heard from Ramsey. I would like to plead with the federal government, because I do not think the absolute power resides with NEC at the end of the day. I think the federal government still has a lot to do. So we would actually like to plead that 300% is a lot for Nigerians right now, given that diesel price is not friendly, the fuel price is not friendly, and even this electricity we're talking about, we barely have it. So what next, Nigerians? This is where we wrap it up for today for Outnumbered. Thank you for staying tuned on the program. I remain Miss Babajide, and to my right is Tonia and Ramsey. Bye for now.